Welcome back to the Double Leg. I'm one half of the show, Hey Jai Picks. The other half of the show, The Parlay. Joining me in to recap some UFC Paris. Let's get into it. A banger of a card back in UFC Paris. Last year's card was pretty fun. This one was even more fun, I would say, and we had a fun night in the premium group. We had a banger of a card as far as the profits go, plus 7.09 units for me. Just across the board, the reads were pretty good. Obviously, there wasn't many dog cashes. I was a pretty favorite-heavy card. That's what I saw. That's what I played, and that's what ended up coming out. So whenever you can go, plus 5 units or more, 7 units is great, but that's a good night. Hit some parlays, and just across the board, the money line bets were pretty solid. The only one was the robbery that we got cheesed on, Jocelyn Edwards. But other than that, they were pretty good. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, it went really good. I was just shy of 7 units on the night. I was on the right side of a beat there with William Gomi. I took him in the round 3 TKO for plus 1900 and it hit. So I was happy to get that. I feel like I get screwed all the time with the judges, so I was happy to be on the right side for once. And then other than that, I went 4-1 on my straight money line plays. The only one that didn't hit was Jocelyn Edwards, and that was a close call that could have went our way too. So overall, phenomenal night. I was one leg away from hitting a 40-1 parlay plus 4,000. And the last leg I needed that didn't cash was Volkan Oezdemir KO, and he gets the submission. So that was unfortunate. I would have been up over 17 units if that hit. So what can you do though, man? I don't ever expect to hit 40-1 parlays, but when they come close, it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's one that should have cashed.
Yeah,
I'm still shocked that it didn't cash because I remember you saying that on the exclusive show. I'm like, dang, that actually sounds pretty good. Like that's got a good chance. And then of course, the one that I thought had the best probability of hitting was Volkan by KO, and he gets the sub. So that's just how it goes. But yeah, a great week for the premium picks. If you want to get in on those, you can click the link in the description there. And get yourself set up for UFC 293, which is next week. But we're going to go through UFC Paris and give a little recap, our thoughts on the fighters and their performances, starting with the main event. Ciryl Gane getting it done against Sergey Spivac. It was striker versus grappler. And if you can't get the guy down, Sergey Spivac ain't got no striking on the feet. So looking back on it, it really probably should have been a max play on Ciryl Gane, but either way, I was glad I got around to take Ciryl Gane. I was thinking Spivac early, but just throughout the week, you watch more film, you're like, I don't really think he could take him down that easily. So I went with Ciryl Gane. I'm glad I did, and it paid off because he had his way with Sergey Spivac. What you think?
Yeah, it's super impressive and a good bounce back fight for Ciryl Gane. And the thing I saw leading up to the fight was a lot of recency bias towards Ciryl Gane. We just lost to John Jones. Everyone talked about his grappling defense, his wrestling defense, and that Sergey was just going to be able to come across the cage, take him down, submit him, ground and pound. But you look at who Spivac is fighting. It's Augusto Sakai, Greg Hardy, and then of course Derek Lewis, which is a good win. But you look at Ciryl Gane's last 3, and his only 2 losses are the GOAT, John Jones, and then Francis Ngannou, who's outside of John, maybe the best heavyweight ever. And a lot of people talked about Francis taking Ciryl Gane down and how John did it so easy. But if you look into Ciryl Gane lately, he's been training a lot of grappling and a lot of wrestling and trying to really polish out his game. And with Spivac, he's not like the most athletic guy. And I thought Ciryl Gane might be too athletic to let Spivac come in, get inside, and get the takedowns. And honestly, he wasn't even close. I was super impressed with Gane. And on the feet, I think everybody thought he'd pick him apart if it stayed there. So, yeah, super impressive. Spivac wanted nothing to do with that stand-up game. After he couldn't get the takedowns, he was just toast. And Ciryl Gane, he picked his shots really good, and he laid it on him there at the end.
Yeah, he was just a sitting duck. Like, it was so clear after that one takedown defense from Ciryl Gane. Like, all right, he's got this in the bag. Like, Spivac, isn't going to offer anything on the feet near the level of Ciryl Gane, and it was just a beatdown from that on. But I mean, that's Ciryl Gane. Not like the biggest power puncher. I mean, he put up 109 significant strikes in less than
Yeah.
2 rounds. I mean, he fought a good game plan, I would say. I mean, down the road, you might want to see more like finishing ability from Ciryl Gane, but he knew the threat of the takedown was always present, so I don't think he wanted to unload anything too big. But I don't know. Moving forward, it's like if you want to win a title, you got to be able to kind of put out heavyweights with like a good couple of punches, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think on that?
Yeah, no, I think Ciryl Gane, to his advantage and to his defense, he's so good. I guess you could call it good cardio, but with the volume, like he's gonna fight for the duration of the fight, and he's gonna throw the same shots, and it kind of overwhelms heavyweights because a lot of them don't have the best gas tanks, and eventually they break. I mean, we saw it pretty early in the fight with Spivac. He just kind of broke in that second round, and Ciryl Gane just laid it on him with volume and got him out of there. But if Ciryl Gane had just like that one punch KO power that just flatlines dudes, I mean, he'd be unstoppable on the feet because he can mix in the volume. He mixes in the body shots really well, the knees up the middle to the body. And if he had just had that one shot that put guys out cold, it'd be a lot of fun to watch. But I think he's finished his last 2 wins now, Ty and now Spivac. So yeah, I don't know, man. He's dangerous if that grappling and wrestling game is getting good. And going forward, if he gets one, more win over a guy like Tom Aspinall or another tough heavyweight, and he can finish them, it's a title run. I honestly believe though, your next heavyweight champion is going to be Ciryl Gane or Tom Aspinall because I think Stipe and John are both going to retire in November, and that's probably the vacant title fight right there, Ciryl Gane and Tom Aspinall.
No Pavlovich?
I don't know. I mean, Pavlovich just beat Curtis Blades, right? Yeah, he just beat Curtis Blades, and you get Gane, who's a former title contender. You got Tom Aspinall. I think both of those guys, maybe Tom Aspinall more, is a little bit more marketable than a guy like Pavlovich right now. So, yeah, maybe you fight those two for the vacant, and then you throw Pavlovich in, and he gets the winner of that for the title.
Yeah, it's such a different type of heavyweight Ciryl Gane is because like you think of like Pavlovich, early finisher, Aspinall, early finisher. It's almost like Gane needs 5 rounds and he just wants to basically frustrate you and tire you out to the point where you don't have it anymore. So it's a very different style. We'll see how well it works, moving forward within the next few years because it'll be fun to see how that shakes out. Manon Fiorot, Rose Namajunas, the return of Thug Rose. She takes an L. I saw a lot of people scoring that fight for Rose Namajunas, and if you look back at the significant strikes, she actually outlanded her for 2 of the 3 rounds, round 1 and round 3. And I don't know. I mean, when I watched it, I thought it was a pretty clear fight for Manon Fiorot. Granted, I have a bet on her, so I'm kind of pulling for her. But a lot of times when you have a bet on, you're almost expecting it to lose. Like I'm just kind of finding a way for this to lose. I didn't really see it in that one. I when that fight ended, I'm like, Fiorot, probably a clear win for her. Just landed the more thudding shots. Like nothing that Rose really threw was like cracking Fiorot. Every time that Fiorot would go in and hit Rose, you could tell it affected her. So that's just what I thought. I scored it for Fiorot. I thought she won. But either way, was it a dominant victory to get her to the championship fight? I don't know. But what do you think?
Yeah, like it was, I want to say it was like somewhat close. Like just watching it, I mean, I think you expected, most people probably expected Fiorot to get the decision, especially being in Paris as well. But yeah, like you said, I think she landed the more thudding shots. She threw like 75 more significant strikes throughout the fight. I think that was part of the difference too. Like Rose landed some good shots, but it was just like, a check left hook or one at a time, whereas Fiorot would just kind of unleash 3, 4 at a time and land. And I think that looked better too. I think Fiorot, earlier in the fight was kind of backing Rose up a little bit. She was the aggressor. Threw a few better kicks, I thought, throughout the duration of the fight and stuffed 6 of Rose's takedown attempts. So, yeah, overall, I thought Fiorot won decisively too. But like you said, I wish she would have done a little more, or at least had Rose in some trouble or hurt a little bit. Kind of, really make it, she's going to get the undoubted next title fight, because I didn't really see any of that in there. I think for some reason, like I kept telling myself, like Farrell looks a little nervous here heading into this fight, standing in the octagon. I mean, it's the first like big name she's fought in Rose Namajunas, who's a star. And I think it was getting to her a little bit. She had a lot of pressure on her in front of the home crowd. And you could tell it took her a little bit to kind of loosen up there in that first round. But yeah, like you said, I wish she would have done a little bit more, had Rose in some trouble, maybe close to a finish or even found a late finish in order to really cement herself as that next title challenger.
Yeah, it was a tough headbutt she took too. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
I was getting a little worried because that thing was gushing pretty bad. That
Mhm.
was the second round, I believe, and they tried to get it patched up going into the third. Didn't really work. Like she was
Yeah.
gushing from the moment that landed. So yeah, that's a tough one. I would probably say you pair Furo with Blanchfield. Just be like, all
Yeah.
right, whoever wins this, you're getting the next title shot because neither of them really separated themselves. I mean, they're tough fights. It's pretty tough to separate yourself, but I'd throw them together.
Tough fight for Blanchfield, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
On the feet, Blanchfield gets touched a little bit. But before we go on, I want to know, I know you saw the new rule set change where fighters can now, when time is called for a cut, fighters can get a wet towel to clear the cut, to clear all the blood and just check it. I didn't see any of that. I mean, that was a bad cut on Farrow, and they stopped the fight for a second. Like I thought she automatically gets a chance to, get a towel in there. Maybe it's not in her eyes, and that's why they didn't do it or something. But I thought that was part of the new rule change.
I saw it with the eye poke early on. They like brought some kind of towel out there, but
Mhm.
you would think with like blood gushing everywhere,
It is
like
bad. I'm surprised I didn't like really check it.
it seemed to me like Furo didn't really care. Like she was just like, all right, I don't really feel it. I don't know if she knew it was that gushing that
Yeah,
bad.
she might not even known. Yeah,
Yeah. To me, I think it was just Furo didn't really care. She just wanted to keep fighting.
yeah.
Um, Compared to like an eye poke, you're probably gonna want to stop and do it. But yeah, that was a nasty one. Benoit Saint Denis taking on Thiago Moises. That was a very impressive performance from Benoit because I had a feeling Moises could present some problems as far as the grappling goes, maybe get his back and get some control time, but Benoit just wasn't having any of it. Like the pressure that he puts on you, he just comes forward. Benoit looks super big compared to Thiago too. Just comes forward, throws everything at you, and you have zero chance of any like landing anything precise. You're either gonna have to set your feet and throw as hard as you can back at him, or try to level change. And with how fast he's coming at you, just not gonna happen. Like it's a tough fight for anybody. You're gonna have to be really good everywhere the fight goes to deal with that kind of pressure from Benoit. Very impressive. What'd you think?
Yeah, he just keeps getting better and better and better every fight. And at some point I keep thinking like he's gonna get his chin checked. I didn't think it'd be this fight against Moises, or a hole's gonna appear in his game. And, he's gonna get taken down, and somebody's just gonna kind of keep that control on the ground with him, land some ground and pound, and just kind of expose some area of his game. But he just keeps getting stronger, man. And Moises is super dangerous on the ground. He is high level with his jujitsu. And so Saint Denis goes for the first takedown. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, keep this on the feet. What are you doing? And then he showed that, he's better there. He's a better wrestler. He's strong. And you don't really see Moises break like that. Like, he took so much damage, and Moises didn't generally get tired, and he was just gassed. And Saint Denis did not let the gas off at all and got the finish. But it's just impressive to me that he's got like Drew Dober, a Drew Dober chin. Like he takes a lot of shots in tight, and shots that make me super nervous. And he might like wobble back for like 1 second, and then he's right back into the fire throwing shots. The body kicks are devastating. It's kind of scary because he shows a complete game: wrestling, grappling, submissions on the feet. So going forward, man, he's going to be a tough fight for anybody. And I can't wait to see what he does next, because that style is fun to watch. He puts on a show every single time.
Dude is crazy. Like I would not want to get in the cage with that guy. Like
No.
Thiago is a real vet, and he went in there, and Santini came out and bull rushed him, and Thiago had that mentality like, okay, I can set my feet and throw, and he cracked him with a couple, and Benoit was like, I don't give a fuck, dude. Like I don't care. And then after that, I think Thiago was like, I can't beat this guy. Like he's just gonna keep coming forward. mix in those takedowns or just wear on me, he wanted out. Like you could tell. The ref was telling him to do something multiple times. He just couldn't do anything. He's like, nah, I'm done, man. Get me out of Paris ASAP. Get me away from Benoit Saint-Denis because that dude's a scary guy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the lightweight division. Volkan Bogdan Guskov, the fraud check of the week. Volkan getting it done by sub, as we talked about earlier. Not cashing your big parlay. That was tough, but a big win for Volkan to get back in the win column because he's had some tough fights as of recently as far as the level of competition he's facing is really up there. Bogdan taking a loss in his debut. What'd you think of that one?
Yeah, man. You and I tried to tell him earlier in the week on the show, like, Ozdemir has been fighting Yuri Prohaska and Magomed Ankalaev, and you've got Guskov, who's been beating cans in the first round. And then the one time he gets a decent high-level striker, he gets knocked out cold in the first round. So it's like Ozdemir with the hands isn't all that impressive all the time, but the leg kicks are devastating. We saw it against Alexander Rakic. He's tough. He took some shots in that fight too. Don't get me wrong, in the first round. He hung in there. He's tough. He'll be in your face. And he showed that he's got a little submission game in his back pocket too, which honestly probably wasn't hard to get against a guy like Guskov. But man, you have the back, you're in full mount, you flatten him out, and Ozdemir has the chance to just rain down shots and get it stopped, and he goes for the rear naked choke. I was so upset with that because that would have cashed a massive parlay. But overall, this fight went exactly how I thought it would. Volkan just being the vet. Sometimes these newcomers, they're in over their head, haven't fought anybody, and you get a guy like that. That's exactly what happened. So it was at least we got the money line to cash, and I was happy to see that.
Biggest thing to me when I was like, I gotta go with Volkan here is like he hasn't really been finished that often, and he's never been finished in the first round. Like that's when Bogdan's getting his wins. And I mean, this last time he got knocked out was Yuri Prohaska. Like Prohaska is going to knock out most guys, but he's still able to go into deeper waters with high level competition. So good win for Volkan there. We'll move on to William Gomi getting it done in the third round. And of course, the controversial stoppage. What do you think of that one?
I loved it. I had William Gomi round 3 plus 1900, but overall, I was impressed with William Gomi's striking. I don't think Giannis is like the most high-level fighter for Gomi to really fight there. But at the end of the day, you look at the numbers, he landed 61 of 99 total strikes, which is over 60% accuracy. Significant strikes, basically the same story. And he stuffed 4 takedowns, had a couple submission attempts, and basically did what you have to do against a debuter. I mean, he's 3-0, I believe, right, in the UFC. A couple split decisions, or at least one. And this fight, he really showed that he's a pretty good striker when you give him some distance. So I don't know what he gets next. He's not like a guy that just jumps off the page to you really yet. He needs to get some finishes, I think, because all these decisions, man, that's not how you want to make your first, lasting impact to the fans. But at the end of the day, he's getting wins. So I don't know how much it matters.
Yeah, getting wins, but like you said, like it's pretty damn boring. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's not like he's some kind of grinded out wrestler either. Like he's a stand-up fighter, but he is damn boring with it. Like just leg kicks, stay at range. He's super good. I mean, stays at range and he can outpoint you. Like he can outpoint a lot of fighters in the featherweight division too. He's long. I mean, he took 0 head strikes the entire fight. Like Giannis Gamori didn't hit him a single time in the head. Like he does not want to engage in the pocket. He's just going to stay at kicking range. So that's the boring part, but it is effective. As far as the stoppage goes, the UFC and I don't know, maybe the commission is super lucky that Giannis Gamori is also French, because if William Gomi was the French fighter going against someone else and he gets that stoppage, it probably doesn't look very good. And also, they're lucky that William Gomi was up 2 rounds pretty easily, so it didn't really matter that it was a stoppage. But can you imagine if like Gamori was up 2 rounds and then takes that kick and then they stopped it and then Gamori like loses that way? That would be a really bad look.
Yeah.
But nothing was like really hurt other than maybe if you had Gomi by points like me, that hurt, but it didn't hurt that much because you had Gomi by round 3 KO. So I was I wasn't mad at all because you hit the bigger play. Mine was only even money, so yeah, good win for Gomi, I guess. Always that one ref whenever you go overseas, it's gonna fuck up. So Morgan Charrier getting the body kick, KO in round one against Manolo Zacchini. Not a whole lot to say here. Good performance for Charrier. I don't know how long Zacchini is going to be in the UFC, but Charrier gets it done in his home country. It was a good win for him. Got anything on that one?
Yeah, just I mean, great showing for Charrier. That's exactly what you have to do in your UFC debut. Round one TKO, can't complain. Those body kicks were devastating, and he might be fun to watch. So we'll see what happens with him going forward.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's got a good amount of losses, but it's not always the worst thing. So, Lapalus, Logren. This one was the opener, I would say, for like the hype for the French fighters, because Lapalus is super loved in France, and Logren was like playing the villain, probably the worst villain result for the villain because he got pieced up on the feet. By the end of the fight, he was kind of whiffing on takedowns. It just wasn't really a good performance for him. Lapalus gets the dub. What'd you think?
Yeah, I feel bad for Loughran a little bit because he has an opponent earlier in the week who he's heavily favored over, and it's probably a better matchup for him. And that all falls through. They offer him Lapalus, who is 19-3 now. He's fought in the UFC, went 3-1 in the UFC. So you're going from getting another UFC debuter to fighting a guy who's been in the UFC, who has a ton of wins and experience, and stylistically, he's kind of a nightmare for you. Like if you can't take him down, you're going to get pieced up, and that's exactly what happened. So I feel bad for him. He took a chance, though. You got to applaud him for that, and it just didn't work out for him. I don't know if he's ready for the UFC, honestly, watching. I mean, he's only 8-1 now, but he just doesn't have that style that's going to beat a lot of dudes unless he is finding a big knockout shot or he's just controlling guys for the duration of the fight. So I don't know. Maybe they give him another UFC debuter in his next fight, try to get him a win and go from there. But props for him to trying, and Lapalus looked really good, especially on the feet.
Yeah, I gave him shit for having a padded record, but at the end of the day, he did take the tougher fight and
Yeah.
still went in there and played the villain. I mean, it's not always easy to play the villain, and he went in there and kind of embraced it. But either way, wasn't really impressed with his performance. He just got outboxed on the feet, and he just really didn't show that high level of striking. The takedowns, it looked like I don't want to say undersized, but like you could just tell he hasn't faced that level of a takedown defense inside the cage. Like he's probably used to getting takedowns fairly easily.
Mm-hmm.
And when he started to struggle, he was like not as confident with him, like he had that good round in the second round, and then moving forward, he's just like starting to whiff. Lapalus is kind of matadoring him. Not a good look, but yeah. Angelosa, Reese McKee's return. It was a fun fight. Losa gets it done by a unanimous decision, and he had a good performance. What you think of that one?
Yeah, it just made me a little nervous at the end. He was tired. He really tried to go for that finish in that second round where he just started unloading shots. And I thought, I don't know if he was necessarily close to getting the finish, but the ref was watching somewhat close just because McKee wasn't really responding with strikes or anything. That third round, man, he just kind of started to coast and he ate some shots. He was running away from McKee, had his back turned. So it made me nervous. It did. But at the end of the day, I like Losa. I think his boxing's pretty good. His takedowns are good. And he does have a good chin, obviously. He showed it in the Fletcher fight and this fight. And besides getting tired at the end, his cardio is decent too. So going forward, he's going to be in some fun fights. He will.
Yeah, he's always going to be in fun fights. Good hands, and showed a good takedown game as well. I think he probably thought there was like 10 or 20 seconds left, and he was just kind of coasting. But there was really like 60 seconds left, and he's just taking shots and running away. I thought he was gonna fucking blow it, but glad he didn't. Nora Cornell getting the win by decision against Jocelyn Edwards. I don't really have much to say on this one other than I thought Jocelyn Edwards won. I'm not going to get too mad about it because we all know when you go with women's decisions, like that is the possibility, especially in a Jocelyn Edwards fight where she has been on the winning side of what we would call robberies. And in this one, she gets on the losing side in France. I mean, probably should have saw it coming. A women's fight that's going to a decision, and you're taking the non-France fighter. It is what it is. But what you think?
It just makes you like frustrated that you look at like I wish they didn't show the live odds on the screen as the fight is ending because you get Nora Cornell who is plus 350 going into the decision. Like it just shows you that these judges, I don't know if it's because you're sitting cage side and you don't see everything clearly like you do at home, but I don't know. We get some weird decisions every single week. It seems like it's a lot of the time is lower level women's MMA is where you see them. I mean, Jocelyn Edwards, maybe this is payback because she got the win over Lucy Pudilova in Kansas City because she definitely didn't win that fight. So, yeah, it is what it is. I had Edwards on the money line. I thought she would have a little more volume and Nora would get tired. But, I mean, it's kind of Edwards comes in there and gets all these takedowns. She had almost over 9 minutes control time and somehow doesn't win the fight. So, is what it is.
I will say this, though. Jocelyn Edwards, why are you a grappler now? Why?
Yeah.
Like, you literally won the fight against Pudilova based on what you did on the feet. And she was the grappling heavy fighter. And then you get a decision gifted to you. And you decide to go with the game plan that the girl you robbed, like that's the game plan you're going with. Like, I don't understand that. I mean, she actually looked pretty solid with it, but you know, the judges are going off with damage and Cornell is the one landing the shots. You're going for the takedowns and you're getting them, but it's not damage. And that's what it is. But
yep.
Bashrat Rodriguez. Bashrat made easy work of the man Clayton because, I mean, he went in there, got a couple takedowns, arm triangle choke, had Rodriguez crawling over to his corner after. That was quite the scene to look at. But Bashrat looked like he wanted to go in there and get a finish by any means necessary because he didn't want to be labeled as a decision fighter. And he gets it done. What you think?
Dude, he's so good. Both of them are. They're so technical everywhere. And it's like a lot of times in the UFC and in MMA, you'll see like wrestlers who are super explosive and you know, just kind of blast these double and single legs and use their power and strength to get guys down. He's just like technical with his wrestling. Like he's not strong, like too strong. He's not that explosive, but if he gets a hold of your leg, he just uses his leverage so well to get guys down. And I saw a potential finish coming, but I didn't see it happen until later in the fight when Clydeson was a little more tired. But he worked it really good on the ground, got to that position and got the choke. So props to him. He needed a finish for sure. I had submission in that big parlay for him, so that was the first leg that cashed. But for the straight bets, I had him by decision, and then I took him by round 3 finish as well. So never made it there.
Yeah, Bashrat. It's pretty rare that you get like 2 brothers in the UFC that are both pretty damn good. Like you usually get one that's really good and one that's kind of bottom of the barrel, or at least middling. And both Bashrat bros are like super damn good, and they both fight the same way. Super technical, super methodical. Everything like looks how it should. When he's getting takedowns, it's like you said, it's super technical the way they do it. It's not just some athleticism. And he'll probably go pretty far, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Tough bantamweight division, but Bashrat bros are always going to be game.
Now they're both in the bantamweight division, right?
Yeah.
Man, what happens when they're at the top?
I don't know.
That might set up for one of the biggest fights. Not biggest fights ever, but I mean that's a big fight. If they had to fight each other down the line, I'm sure they wouldn't.
Yeah, no chance they would. No chance. They train with Merab and Aljo. So
that whole camp, man.
Or maybe they'll learn from their mistakes and they'll actually fight each other and they'll just take 2 paychecks. But I highly doubt it. Jacqueline Cavalcanti, Zara Farron. Don't want to talk about this one too much, but Zara Farron probably gonna be gonzo after that one. Got anything on that?
Props to her for throwing 260 strikes and landing 39 of them. But yeah, man, I don't know. That's just it's just low level stuff.
Yeah, I mean, she took 67 leg kicks from Cavalcanti. Oh God, that was a rough watch. First fight of the night, that definitely should have been the first fight of the night because I don't think anybody really cared about that one. Sorry, but that's how it is. The UFC Paris, that's the recap. we're going to be coming to you with the Dana White Contender Series preview for the Tuesday card, and then we'll be bringing you the UFC 293 preview as well. So stay tuned for that on the channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the like button to support it. Stay up to date with everything at the Double Egg on Instagram, at HeyJivePicks on the medias for me. Where can they find you?
All social medias at the Parlay MMA.
I appreciate you all. Double Egg here. Signing out.